Welcome back to Press Here. I'm going to show you a little video of a robot. It's called Kiki, and I just want you to take a moment to look at it. It is a cute robot, and I'm going to guess most of your attention is on the robot's face, its eyes. That robot is pre-programmed, but so too are you. You are pre-programmed to search out faces, and Kiki has a face because Mita Yoon gave him a face, or her, I'm not even sure. Mita is a roboticist trained at the nation's top school for robotics, Carnegie Mellon. Now, we're not going to talk science, though. We're going to talk about feelings, how to give robots emotion. Thanks for being with us this morning. I guess I should start out with whether Kiki is a him or a her, or whether it makes any darn difference.
It's really how you decide it to be, but we're using a she for now.
She for now. And then is Kiki a cat, a raccoon, a robot? See, I'm already projecting, aren't I?
Right.
Why does it have to be a raccoon? It could just be a robot.
Exactly. So when we were designing Kiki, we drew a lot of inspiration from mammals, but without making it look like anything in particular. So a lot of people think it's a snow fox, a lot of people think it's a cat, so it's really up to you.
And you can see, and I didn't mean any of this, this was not intentional, twice I have projected onto that robot, which is kind of what we're talking about.
Right.
I have tried to figure out what gender it is, and I think it's a female cat, but it's whatever you want it to be.
Yep.
Fair enough.
So what is the purpose of this particular robot? At CNet we've covered the evolution of adorable robots, if you will, whether it's a Roomba or whether it's a character or personality-based robot. Mm-hmm. Everyone has a different goal, so talk about what your goal is with this.
Right, so for many years people have been building robots, so there are industrial robots and home robots that help make our life more efficient. But the goal of Kiki is really to bring happiness to people. So it's a companion that is powered by artificial intelligence, so she can actually learn with the user in real time, so that she can bring an emotional connection to the users.
Who are you targeting with this? Like, who do you think would buy this human-like robot?
Right, so we're really seeing a lot of different target audiences. One of the most prominent one is actually the seniors. So they want to have the companionship from a real pet, but it's obviously a lot of effort to take care of one. So they want to adopt a robotic character that has artificial intelligence.
How do you give a robot a pet? I mean, obviously you can give it ears and make it look cute,
right.
But emotionally with the face itself, and I even going back to, it was a Tamagotchi, right? Yeah. How do you make somebody care whether or not, and this would be what, the late 80s, whether the Tamagotchi lives or dies, because it's just an LCD screen, right? How do you make me care about this robot? And I do, because it just winked at me. So I do care about this robot, but how are you doing that in reading about people's emotions and giving a robot emotion?
So it's a really good question. So humans are actually hardwired to love characters and to love stories. So there's researches where the researchers will ask the humans to actually smash down a robot, but when the robot actually takes form, and then when it has a backstory, the humans are less likely to actually just smash it. So with Kiki, it's a similar story. So it's a character, it has eyes just like us, and whenever people see it, people already think like he or she, and then does it have its own needs and wants? So they already want to actually help protect the robot and then make it live in a very good condition. So that's what actually brings the first level of emotional connection to it.
So we saw this robot back at CES. Is it on the market yet, and how much is it?
So Kiki is on a pre-order. So this one is very different from the one we saw at CES. This is probably 4 iterations later than that prototype. And right now it's for $799 for the pre-order price.
Okay, and one of the concerns that people have, so I'm going to be the tech, curmudgeon here. Part of the reason that these robots are cute and adorable is that you want to invite them into your home, because nobody wants a scary-looking robot. I mean, if they do, that's a whole different segment of your show. But at the same time, it is a step into your home that is an AI-based piece of equipment that needs to know a lot about you to interact effectively. And we live in a world where people's data has been co-opted in so many different ways. And so there's concern about, here's something that knows a lot about me. You're keeping that information and that data, whether it's in a cloud or someplace else. How do I know that I'm not going to be basically bamboozled, especially if I'm a senior who's now relying on this adorable robot, and maybe I start ordering things or get caught up in a potential scam. And I'm not saying you're a scam artist, I'm just saying that is the general concern about inviting a friendly critter into your home
Sure.
where you can't see its brains.
Yeah. So we don't want people to sacrifice their privacy and security just because they're living with a robot. So for home robots right now, it's actually possible for us to have an on-device processor that is able to process all the deep learning models on board. So on one hand, it's going to be very fast to run all the algorithms. So Kiki, like a robot like Kiki can track faces at a very fast speed. Another hand, it's make it very hard for a middleman attack because none of the data is actually being uploaded to the cloud. And then another aspect to this is everything that's stored on the robot should also be encrypted so that even if, say, an evil neighbor kidnaps your Kiki or your robot, your data is still secure.
Mita, with the onboard processing, I know you're aware of Jibo. Jibo was it looked vaguely similar, and
Right.
and its head would pivot around and stuff, and the company shut down.
Yeah.
Which meant that the big servers, the cloud that was powering this robot, because a lot of the computation wasn't happening at the local level, it was happening in the cloud, shut down, which meant now it was a hunk of plastic.
It's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. Well, people put videos on YouTube of Jibo announcing that it was going to go away. And it was like Frosty the Snowman. It was awful.
Yeah.
So if you have onboard processing, how dependent am I on your company staying alive that my adorable robot is going to stay alive?
So Kiki will stay alive as is. So she will be able to process all the different input and output, and then she'll also be able to grow. So all the reinforcement learning is also running here on board. So if you get Kiki, you have this character. You already have it. But if our company dies, of course, future updates, there will be no one to work on.
Fair enough.
And then with Kiki, the personality can also be cloned. So in the future, if you switch to another device, you can still restore
Bring
the
your
same.
Kiki with you?
Right.
Let me squeeze in one more question. I want to go back to emotions. What is it, because mechanically you can do just about anything you want. I mean, it's just gears and lights and things. What is it emotionally, as someone who is one of the top roboticists, went to one of the top robotic schools in the nation, what is the thing you can't do emotionally that you wish you could do?
I guess it's to have almost infinite degrees of freedom, because if we look at a real animal, the way they move, right? They don't just have 20 motors; they have 100 motors,
right,
combined with their hair, that they're flying in the air, and then it's just infinite degrees of freedom. But with robot, every motor is very costly, and every motor adds a degree of complexity too. So I wish in the ideal world we can have infinite degree of freedom.
Katie Roof, I can see you want to squeeze in one more.
Yeah, well, speaking of costly, you mentioned the price earlier. I think you said $799. So this is an $800 robot.
Right.
What makes you think that seniors are going to recognize the potential of this before shelling out that kind of money?
So I think it comes to the value that the robot can bring, and then what kind of alternatives there are. So I do hope that one day robots can be as affordable as every family can adopt it. But the truth is, in order to have all the algorithms running on board, you need a very powerful processor. And then in order for it to be expressive, you need motors, you need a high resolution screen, and all of that combined is making robots very costly at this moment.
Mita Yun is with Zoetic, and Mita and Kiki, thank you ever so much. Pressure will be back in just a minute.